Good morning, friends, and welcome back to Northlawn. I hope you're all having a wonderful May so far. I just returned from a few days at the Biltmore. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. I've been home for about a week, but it's been raining non-stop for 7 days, and it's going to rain again today. So I'm going to take you around all the gardens this morning and show you what I'm hoping to do in between rainstorms. I also want to make sure I show you the driveway garden because the bearded iris over there look beautiful, but with all the rain, they're quickly fading. I thought we'd start here at the stone rug, where we have some gorgeous pinball wizard alliums in bloom. I love the size of this allium. I love the bloom size. I love the height, and the foliage dies back very nicely on that particular allium. We've got some Amsonia in bloom right now, and I see I have some weeds popping up that I need to take care of. It looks like, you see that pokeweed right there that's about 2 feet tall, and that tree of heaven right here. Let's see if I can get my finger in shot. See this tree of heaven right here? I couldn't even see those when I left a week ago. It's crazy how fast everything grows. The catmint has started to bloom, and it is looking just gorgeous. I did accidentally plant too many ranunculus within this small section right behind the catmint, so I need to pop some of those out and put them in the main flower walk whenever the rain lets up for a few days. Walking backwards down the main flower walk, I did have to clear some tulips out of the garden. My intention was to leave as many tulips as possible in the garden, but after we came back from that big rainstorm and a week of rain, a lot of them had just turned to mush, and they were even making the garden smell bad as they rotted. So unfortunately, I did have to pull a lot of the tulips. So we're looking at replanting a brand new tulip display after all. The 9-bark started to bloom while I was away, and this ginger wine 9-bark is especially stunning. I would say it's at least 8, maybe 9 feet tall after about 7 years in the garden. And I love the color and blooms of the 9-bark right next to this golden hinoki cypress. Those were both little babies, no bigger than my forearm, when I put them in. More pinball wizard alliums in bloom. And here's another allium that's just starting to open up. This one is Ambassador. I like this one for the back of the border, but the foliage is unpleasant to look at and it's quite large and dies back slowly. So I would recommend that one for the back of the border. And as a matter of fact, I probably should have switched these two, because you can see Gladiator is in the back of the border there. The foliage on that one is much smaller and thinner and dies back nicely. So I always prefer Gladiator over Ambassador. Here's another stand of pinball wizard alliums. And the Geums are looking ever so beautiful on this foggy May morning. It is quite foggy. Some of you were asking about the cotton candy thalictrum, and it's doing great. One thing I'm noticing is that it seems to prefer full sun here in Pennsylvania. This plant right here, I would say, is about 3 feet tall and is blooming beautifully. I thought the thalictrum needed shade, so let me show you some in a shady area that aren't blooming at all and are much, much smaller. So I'm hoping to move those today as well. I'm trying my best to repeat the same plant over and over again. And I think I could even do more of less still, more Geums especially. We added in 6 more Geums into the flower border a few days ago. But looking at it right now, I think we could probably pop in 6 more and it would look even better. The holes in the garden that you're seeing right now are due to all of those tulips that essentially rotted away while I was gone. So here's a look at that thalictrum in full shade. You can see it right there. And it's just really not doing much. I mean, it seems healthy, but I'm gonna pop it out and give it more sun. I think by next week, fingers crossed, if we get some sun, all of our early peonies will start to bloom. And you can see the alliums here are in more sun and they've started to fade and lose their purple color. We're looking at Gladiator right in front of us, and the ones that are purple are Ambassador. That's a better placement of Ambassador. I'll show you what the foliage looks like. You can see it's quite unsightly. So I do think it's crucial to hide that foliage behind something like these peonies. So I would say this is a transition time in the main flower walk. We don't really have a focal flower, but once those peonies bloom, I think this area of the garden will have an entirely different feel. And here's another 9-bark in bloom at the entrance gate. This one is Summer Wine 9-bark. I just love the way it looks draping over the garden gate. So here's one last look at the main flower walk in mid-May here in South Central Pennsylvania. Lots of work to be done, but let's head over to the driveway garden next. About 2 weeks ago, we planted knockout roses together in the driveway garden, and I mentioned at that time I didn't think it was the right rose. However, now that I see them in bloom, surrounded with only purple and white flowers, I think I actually really like the vibrant pink color of the double pink knockout roses. We have some purple irises in bloom that I brought over from our old house. I have 2 different kinds of catmint in here. I'm sorry, I just got these catmints from friends, so I'm not sure on the variety. I'm hoping that we have at least a few days where things dry out so I can show you this garden when it's looking its prime. But I think this is going to be really beautiful, and I do have an evergreen screen behind this Invincible Spirit hydrangea hedge. It's just still young at the moment, so imagine a green screen behind our flower lady as well. I might consider putting the dark purple iris in the main flower walk and switching them out with more light purple iris so that we have just one iris over in this garden. But this Ozark Rebounder iris sure is beautiful, isn't it? The dark purple color just takes my breath away. And let's move closer to this beautiful iris called Persian Berry. There are so many beautiful colors in Persian Berry: light violet, magenta, orange, even a hint of what we call garden blue. Just lots of different bulb successions within this garden. And in terms of how these gardens connect, there's my car right there, and you can see back to the garden library right through that opening. Gorgeous. I think the driveway garden has become more of a formal garden over the years, and I really like that. I think this is a nice place for a formal garden. The front yard is very formal. This is kind of a transition garden from the front to the back, so you get a sense of formality, but also looseness with how I planted the sides. But I think the lesson here is, once again, more of less, more of just using the same exact iris versus bringing in multiple irises. We started our tour today over at the garden bench, and you can see through this window in between the Coosa dogwood branches that it's a really nice view to that bench. And you can even see a hint of the Mount Everest alliums that are blooming over in the hydrangea room. So let's walk through the hydrangea room together now. You can see some apples are forming on the tree at the moment. I added in some gladiator alliums into the hydrangea room this year, but it appears that they faded during the period that we were gone. However, the Mount Everest alliums, which is the white allium, or which are the white alliums, are still looking great. Maybe I should add more Mount Everest alliums into other areas of the garden because they really do shine in the morning and in the evening. Isn't that lovely? Do you like white alliums? There are some coral charm peonies in this garden also. Closed up in the morning, but these will be open once the sun comes out. That's usually the first peony to bloom in the garden. It's also worth noting that the foliage on Mount Everest is very pleasant. It doesn't really have a bothersome appearance when dying back like the ambassador alliums do. Gracie, what is your favorite allium? Do you like Mount Everest? Do you like Gladiator? Do you like Ambassador? Do you like Pinball Wizard? Okay, you think about that and get back to me. I'm going to be adding some better boxwood into the garden, so some areas where you see holes that look a little silly, I'm reserving those places for boxwood. I also did order 40 more dahlias from Longfield Gardens, and I ordered all the same dahlia, so we're going to go ahead and mass plant that dahlia in the main flower walk in all the other areas where you see holes appearing. And I want to run something by you. I ordered enough to plant one in between every single Incredible hydrangea. This is a 4-foot tall raspberry colored dahlia. I'm thinking we would just pop one dahlia tuber in between each hydrangea right where these daffodils are dying back. Also, I'm so happy with the choice of the pink charm daffodil. The foliage still looks nice. I need to leave this foliage up for another month. So something I'm always thinking about when it comes to bulbs is not just the bloom, but how does the foliage die back? Does it die back nicely, or does it look really unsightly dying back? Pink charm looks beautiful, and once it starts to turn, I'll update you on that. So what do you think? Should we mass plant the same exact dahlia in the book nook and just try it for 1 year? I feel like we should. I feel like this is our one chance to go ahead and do that, and I think it would be fun. I've got tons of weeds popping up in the gravel. I'm gonna have to get out here with some hot boiling water and take care of those. Hopefully as I stand back here, you can see how all the gardens connect. This path takes you to the main flower walk. This path takes you around the hydrangea annex, over by Grace's garden, and back to the hydrangea room, which purposefully is hidden from sight from multiple areas of the garden. I have always wanted one area that's a completely secret garden. And then the path here takes you over to the book nook and the garden library. So let's see what the day brings. Let's see if we get a big storm, and I'll see you this evening after hopefully I was able to get a little gardening done. It's about 7 o'clock now, and friends, I did not get any gardening done today. I spent most of the morning at the vet, and I need to ask for all your good thoughts and prayers for Grace. Right before we left for the Biltmore, we noticed that she was not putting her full weight on her right foot. I thought maybe she stepped on a bee or something. But when we got back, it became very clear that we needed to take her to the vet. We took her today and found out that she has a partial tear in her right leg. And the craziest thing that the vet told us is that she suffered a full ACL tear in her left leg when she was a young lady, probably around 1 year old. And that ACL tear, which we didn't know about, did not heal properly. So we are going to be taking her to a specialist on Tuesday that's going to fit her for a cast, and then they're going to put her in a brace to help ensure that this partial ACL tear heals properly. So please send all your good thoughts and all your prayers for her, prayers for peace, prayers for healing, prayers too that she will just not move so much. I have everything gated off. I'm really trying to just keep her on the same level as much as possible, but she's a very high energy dog. So I don't even know what to say, friends. I just feel so bad. I love her so much. I'm sorry to end this video on a bad note, but probably I'm a little bit behind in my editing. Probably 2 videos from now, you're going to see her in a leg brace. So friends, thanks so much for joining me and Grace in the garden today, and we'll see you sometime soon. Gracie, do you want to say bye to our friends? I think Gracie needs to take a little rest. It's been a hard day. Bye, friends.